My name is Russell Franks, and I'm the Chief Exec of Ifinity. For over 30 years, we've worked for the not-for-profit organizations to create systems and solutions that drive engagement. I am truly excited to be here at the dawn of an exciting new future for trade union technology. In so many ways, I've been waiting for today for a very long time. I was at the TUC Congress in 2001 when Tony Blair was handed a note on the platform to say the Twin Towers had been destroyed by terrorists. I was also there at the TUC Congress the year before last when a small note was handed to the sales staff of Miller Technology to say they were no longer needed and had been made redundant. For a number of years, way back now, I was the TUC's IT consultant working with Mike Jones on the world's first SQL-based private community, the TUC virtual building. For those of you that have very long memories, the idea was that you could enter a graphical representation of Congress House, take a virtual lift up to, say, the third floor, and then walk along a virtual corridor, and then enter a virtual room to pick up documents. It was, with hindsight, the forerunner of all the later based virtual communities that kind of ever existed. Over the last few years, I've been focused on working with ASI to bring great solutions to associations. Before then, I was heading up the H.W. Fisher IT Consulting Division, and while I was there, had the pleasure of working with a lot of unions, including ATL, MSF, Musicians Union, BEC2, USDOR, many others. The names have changed, probably some of the faces have too. H.W. Fisher were very popular at the time, and I hope they still are. They pioneered partial VAT exemptions and clawed back over £8 million of VAT from the government. In the world of technology, things are better now than at any time I've known, and the opportunities for trade unions to use technology for engagement are huge. At Ifinity, we recognise that for a long while in the UK, there were only two players, Miller Technology and APT Solutions. More recently, unions have been open to new options with platforms such as Salesforce and Dynamics. Our presentation today is about the third way, and that's why I'm here for this session today with my colleague Gordon Brewster, and also through some recorded video with Chris Walton, who is the leader of the ACTU Union Innovation Hub. At the end of our session today, you should be able to fully understand the iMIS for Unions partnership and collaboration, and also understand what iMIS for Unions can offer you as a union managed product. Chris himself sends his apologies. It was difficult for him to be here personally because he's over in Australia, but he did record some video to explain the ACTU Union Hub. So exploring that third way. Great that so many of you are here today to explore the interesting third way that we're putting forward with Gordon and myself. Two things have been happening independently that gave rise to me being here with you now. For the last few years, Chris Walton and ACTU have been working really hard and very successfully at building a new model for trade union technology. And at the same time, the TUC Digital Lab has recognized that there is a third way beyond legacy systems of Miller Technology and APT, and a complement to the sometimes expensive and complicated cloud platforms. iMIS for Unions is both a collaboration, and in also many ways, it's also a crowdsource as well. It brings together partners who all contribute to the overall. So iMIS EMS is the principal engagement management solution that has been created and been there for a long time from Advanced Solutions International. And over the last few years, while ClearCourse were pursuing a horizontal path, absorbing most of the suppliers to the UK Association and Trade Union market, ASI were pursuing a vertical strategy, building iMIS into perhaps the best cloud-based product for associations that there is, and then absorbing other businesses that complement that core product. Open Water for submissions, reviews, awards and abstracts, Top Class for learning management, Clouder as a fully integrated mobile app experience, and also Spacemaster, which is focused on marketing and advertising management. The Union Hub partnership is unique, and we believe we have something very special to offer to UK trade unions. This is a best of all worlds option for trade unions. The foundation is iMIS, a world-leading product and a Gartner G2 leader in its own right. On top of this, the decades of knowledge of people like Chris Walton, with 39 years of union experience, and his team at the ACTU Union Innovation Hub in Australia. Then above that, we've got iMIS for Unions, which is iMIS EMS, which is a leading product with the development of union-specific features by our partner Zenso using their Cloud Tools platform under the guidance and collaboration of ACTU. And then my own company, Ifinity, is proud of our relationship with both ACTU, ASI, and Zenso to bring the iMIS for Unions product to you. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's a very rich collaboration of people with experience to build this technology and make it available. iMIS for Unions is built for unions by unions, and that's also something pretty unique. At the same time, it is based on Microsoft technology. ASI are a Microsoft global partner. It's fully GDPR, fully PCI compliant, secure against attack, touch wood so far. It can be integrated in thousands of ways and has a great API for those unions who are technological and happy to use that kind of software. It's a true product. It's documented as a product and supported as a product, which is particularly important. Now, Gartner is a world leader in evaluating different types of software and different types of markets. Strictly speaking, the information that's on the screen here is in relation to the standard iMIS product that's used by 3,000 associations, including a large number of unions. But I thought you'd still be interested in it because there are a couple of points about this kind of review site. 70% of organizations looking at what systems to buy go to independent web reviews like this one. So what happens on Gartner's G2 is really very important for everybody. And what they do when they go there is they find that iMIS is a leader within the Gartner's G2 review section. And also, interestingly, and this happened quite recently, they put together a top 100 best software products list for associations. That actually covers all kinds of different types of associations, including learning, finance, web apps, every different type of application. So this is a list of everybody, not just membership solutions. And in that list, they're number 22. I think in many ways, trade unions actually have an easier time than most organizations. In the sense that John Wood and the TUC Digital Lab have already done all the heavy lifting and put products like iMIS for Unions on the shortlist for you guys to review when you're choosing new software. I thought it would be great fun to put this slide up. I asked Chris Walton, who's been a union official for 39 years, for some suggestions on dealing with you lot, and he gave me some good advice in typical union style. I'm not going to read them out because they're a bit rude, really. But more seriously, I do happen to think that it's time to make union systems less susceptible to the risks of corporate venture capital ownership and reduce the risks for unions. In my own direct experience, often things are not what they seem to be. There's a lot going on under the surface that's invisible to the untrained naked eye. It's a fact that platform companies make lots of money from the extra charges for API calls, volumes, and every other nickel and dime kind of extra that goes with one of these systems. It's also a fact that software providers make money from processing payments and direct debits. There's lots of examples in the commercial world. I fly to the States quite often using Delta, and it's said that Delta Airlines earn as much from their relationship with American Express as they do from flying planes. Similarly, people like Meta, they're not really a social media company. They're actually an advertising and data sales platform. There's often this kind of ulterior motive that's working against consumers. For me, the bottom line benefit of iMIS for Unions is that 80 to 90% of what unions need is already in the software, and that percentage will increase over time. The ownership of the IP is with ACTU, and any union using the platform can add to this body of software at any time. So let's focus on what's important. What is important? What should be important? We believe iMIS for Unions allows you to focus on the absolute and most important needs. 360-degree view of members, great integration, actionable intelligence at your fingertips. Being self-reliant and keeping costs under control is important. And it's as a tools-based system. And the idea is that we equip you to be productive without the need for outside experts to be perpetually needed. Building skills is important, and your team can become certified users via the ASI Learning Hub and can be as self-reliant as you wish to be. When you look at who to collaborate with, you also need to look past the product, past today's technology, and evaluate the partner's strategy for the future and establish what that strategy is to you in terms of risk. For the last 20 years, trade unions have not been very good at evaluating real risks, and one can make a good argument that often they have got it wrong. However, we all know with 2020 hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, but there are key questions that you can ask. Are you down a dead-end alleyway? Will enough capital be spent to keep your technology leading edge? Can you escape the relationship if your supplier gets greedy or you just don't get on with them? Are you subscribing to a real product or just consulting ware, which is kind of ware that is individual to you and not really a true product? I'll leave you with a few examples of how it was in the old days in case any of you are younger than me or memories are short. I picked up some examples that are probably lost in history to most of you. This isn't today's real world, just a fun glance at how it was when I started. CMA, Communication Managers Association, probably don't exist now. They were my first job. They were the union of the post office managers. They just invested in MS-DOS 2.2 before Windows was invented. They had a row of offices. They were in Twyford, I think, if I remember, next to the Thames. Manager, secretary, manager, secretary, manager, secretary. Each manager was connected to each secretary via a tin can on a string. So he could bark orders at her. The early computers showed him in real time, her typing, and he could use the tin can to correct her. How would that go down these days in the workplace? My first real consulting project was for the NUJ, and they had me review Miller Technologies' very early Empress 4GL system. It was housed on a computer with the power of an IBM PC, connected to quite a few dumb screens. Even in those days, it cost £40,000 a year to have the lease, and the lease was 5 years, and they couldn't get out of it. It required 2 Miller Technology staff full-time on site in perpetuity to actually look after it. In hindsight, totally crazy. Then there was MSF, now part of Unite, who thought they had actionable intelligence from their database. However, they found millions of members were missing when they did an audit after the union legislation changed, and they needed to know exactly who their members were. I remember also the trend at one time for unions to try and collaborate with each other, take a piece of code that existed and modify it in a kind of techno club. Ultimately, a technology dead end for them, requiring a large new investment. But I'm happy to say that Usdaw have gone full circle from where things started and are finalizing their iMIS deployment at the moment. So this is where we've come from, and I can now leave you with Gordon Brewster to talk about where we have gone to. The iMIS for Unions product and our work on the ACTU Union Innovation Hub. So Gordon, I'll just pass it through to you and we can check it's working on your system.
Thank you, Russell. Just so that we know that we've transitioned correctly, Russell, you should see the tiles screen.
Yeah, that's all fine.
Okay, and if you want just to give me a kind of thumbs up as I go through, Russell, if you have your mic muted, just to keep me on track. Hello, everyone. Great to have the opportunity to make this presentation to you. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm going to take you on a high-level tour regarding iMIS for Unions and the various components that are within it. iMIS for Unions, as Russell was referencing, delivers a complete implementation for unions, and the estimate is 80 to 90% of your requirements is delivered out of the box. That heavy lifting has been done for you. Everything a union needs is right there, and it's built on iMIS, as Russell set out. iMIS for Unions is about the tools to deliver what's important. Membership engagement and retention, improved organising and campaigning, data-driven decision-making, and membership recruitment and growth. These tools are to help the union leadership and union staff do better. Now, we're not talking here about new principles of unionism, but new tools. And our model is all about union collective principles. So what I'm going to do is to take you through the various modules and the components, all of the tiles that you can see on this particular screen. So in terms of iMIS for Unions, it has a number of unique advantages that are not found elsewhere. And as Russell referenced, most importantly, it's built for unions and by unions. Regardless of the given union, there is consistency across the activities that you all undertake in terms of what you do and how you do it. And that's reflected in the product. On day one, a union selecting iMIS for unions gets all of that knowledge, that skill, and that expertise because it's right there. You become part of a community. There is an esprit de corps we've detected within that community around collaboration regarding improvement. Now, please note, I don't want you leaving our session with a view that it's progress by consensus and that you always need to participate. You don't, but you do get your own system, and your data and your members' data is completely secure. And that, of course, delivers a number of substantial advantages. It minimizes the risk, it minimizes the cost, it minimizes the time to implementation and go live. You get ongoing support, ongoing training, best practice guides and so on, which are specifically oriented towards unions. Now, I'm sure we've all heard of horror implementations, cost and time, massive blowouts. Everybody knows a story with systems taking years to implement and seven-figure sums. Now, you don't need me to tell you those particular horror stories, because who here today has not heard of one? What's the longest time you've actually heard for an implementation and delivery? What about the costs and so on that are associated with that? Now, we reckon everybody here today is way too smart for a dummy get-in price, or that another vendor with the same technology can take over a technology that you've previously selected. That's not going to happen in the real world. And in the real world, that's like unpicking hieroglyphics, we believe. So in terms of what can it do, here you can see what iMIS for Unions can do. This is reflected in the ethos of by unions for unions. As new ideas emerge, they will be reflected in the product. And we would like you not to underestimate the importance of that, given the fast-moving technical environment that we're all now operating in. As a result of that, you're never going to fall behind. Your technical arrangements will never fall behind. You will remain relevant to deliver the services and the strategies and objectives to your members, your activists, and your branches and your reps. In other words, everybody that you're there to serve. Your technology arrangements will also remain up to date. So in terms of what is it? What do you get out of the box with iMIS for Unions? You can see all of the elements right here. Everything is tailored and aligned specifically for you. There's no figuring out or head scratching how to program, code, or develop an alternative type of system, because it's just right there and good to go. Everything from reporting to cases to campaigning is within it. Now, I'm sure you'll recognize all of the logos here representing some of the client base that are benefiting from iMIS for Unions. Since 2020, over 30 unions have selected it and are live or are soon to go live on it. And it's estimated that just shy of 1 million members are being served as a result of it. Let's begin to dive a little deeper. And the first item I want to consider is the database itself. In connection with the database, I'm sure this is exactly what you would expect to see. Member records, the location within iMIS for Unions where all that data and information and personal details and so on is held concerning all of your members. Workplaces, your members work in workplaces. You need to record all of the details of all of those workplaces. And you also need to enable your members, your branch officials, and your reps. And I know sometimes you maybe use slightly different terminology for those, but I'm sure you understand exactly the point I'm making, where those types of individuals need to come to your website, need to log in, access a self-service portal, get access to information, maybe update personal details and so on. That's all done through the organizer portal. And I know that's an easy thing for me to say, but the proof at the end of the day is going to be in the pudding. And following today, what we can do is organize a demo by the Union Hub, and what we'll show you is real-time systems, real-time union systems. Now, I appreciate we need to get the given unions permission to do that with you. However, on the basis that that would be a union-to-union type of presentation, we expect that that would be acceptable. There will be no mock-ups, nor what we could build. It's real functionality here and now. So in other words, there'll be no promises of any jam tomorrow. In terms of member records, you can see the details and so on that will be presented and available through the members records within iMIS for unions. Again, this is all oriented towards unions straight away. And this is why iMIS for unions, we believe, is such a compelling case and system for you to deploy. Having all of that pre-configured reduces your costs, reduces the time, and reduces the complexity. As with member records on the last slide, workplace records are again pre-configured and oriented specifically for unions. Everything that you need to know about the workplaces where your members work is right at your fingertips. The system is easy to use and intuitive. And similarly with the organizer portal for branch officials, local reps, members and so on, they can come to the website, log in on the organizer portal, and it's easy for them to do what they need to do, find the relevant information for what they need to do, and update personal information or update other information that you have authorized them to do. It's also fully available on mobile devices, so it will render automatically to a given mobile device or tablet device, depending on what is being used to access it. Next item is reporting. Having all of that data in the system is one thing. You need to be able to access it, present it visually and so on, so that you can make informed decisions, so that you can understand how you're achieving your operational activities, fulfilling your strategies and objectives. In iMIS for Unions, you can also harness the power of Power BI, so all of that data is immediately at your fingertips. And because of the union pedigree through the Union Hub, there are loads of standard reports, standard queries, and standard dashboards straight out of the box. We don't need to waste time trying to configure them. I'm a visual person and find it easier to interpret data when it's visually and graphically presented to me. With iMIS for Unions, you're in a position to generate instructive graphs, intuitive graphs and charts, so that you can get an intimate understanding of your data. There's no more head scratching or worrying, have I got this report right? Have I got this information correct? Leadership teams can have confidence from the general secretary right through all members of staff. They can be assured at the information that is being presented to them to make those important decisions. The next item is automation. And it's important to be as efficient and as productive and as effective as possible in your environments. You need to maximize, after all, the effectiveness of the dues your members pay. We know you really care about the use of the members' money that is being paid to you, and you have a very detailed stewardship of all of that. iMIS for Unions has a number of pre-configured automations across all aspects of the system that can easily be extended by you. You can be as self-sufficient as you wish to be, as Russell was talking about in his opening remarks. What we're showing here in this slide are some marketing and automation examples. And for example, if if automation is applied to marketing, that can generate calls to action amongst members, which they may well pick up on their mobile device. And what you can see here are a number of existing union clients and the mobile responsive presentation of maybe calls to action and so on that have been presented to them. This maximizes engagement and action. And if they happen to be accessing it on a tablet type of device, again, it will render automatically to that. The next item I want to talk about is case management. The necessity to effectively and efficiently manage cases, case workloads, is critical in your environments. Your members will expect nothing less, and when they bring issues to you, the creation, investigation, and execution of a case has to be dealt with expertly and in a timely fashion. The iMIS for Unions case management module will enable you to do that. All you need to do in connection with a case is right here. All of the information that you're going to record, whether it comes from an Outlook email, whether it comes from a meeting note, whether it comes from a PDF document, is recorded within the one case file. Of course, managing cases is a team effort. Teams need to have visibility of a case. They need to collaborate together. They need to do that via dashboards and queries and reports. Now, I've got intimate knowledge of case management from a previous life at the Law Society of Scotland, where we investigated complaints made by members of the public against solicitors. The level of detail and accuracy and breakdown and structuring of an investigation of a case needs to be expertly presented and understood so that you can deal with the case in an organised and structured way. And that is reflected in the iMIS for Unions case management module, so that at the end of the day, you will have the accuracy and understanding, and that's critical when you're delivering confidence and assurance to all concerned parties. Next item is call campaigns. Now, I'm sure all of you, excuse me, didn't press the button. Now, I'm sure all of you will run campaigns. And this is going to be one of your key activities, and that needs to be done effectively. You need to understand what's working and what's not working to be able to take informed views. If something clearly is not working, you need to know about that quickly and take remedial action. You can't throw good money after bad, for example. Again, we know that that's important to you because you care about your members' money and its stewardship. The iMIS for Unions call campaign module can be used immediately because it's configured and oriented for you. You can see in real time what's going on, the statuses of all campaigns on a collective dashboard or the position of an individual campaign. So what about the money and your income? The iMIS for Unions payment module covers all needs and requirements. Unions, we know, have complex needs ranging from check-off to credit cards to weekly connections to monthly collections to direct debits and so on. This module has been specifically configured for union needs. And again, remember, iMIS for Unions is built for and by unions, so you can be assured it will do exactly what's required. The money that is collected is essential to enable you to carry out all of your activities and implement representation requirements. The system, as Russell was referencing in his opening remarks, is PCI compliant. It also has ISO certification, delivering you the very best in security and protection. And in today's environment, that is absolutely required. And that's standard within iMIS. What about payments themselves? Staff need to be able to see payments have been made, payments which are missing, payments which are due, and so on. They're in a position to do that by going to an individual member's record, accessing the record, and going to the payment section on it. Being able to easily see that information and also make adjustments is straightforward. And that's really a critical aspect of functionality, we believe, without which can cause frustration, problems, and errors. In terms of websites, what about websites? If I can, there we go. You've already seen some examples of sites on mobile devices and tablets and so on. iMIS for Unions has a native content management system within it. You're in a position to build out your brand, your look, your feel, your style, and so on. It's fully mobile responsive. Portals are standard, again, adapting to the brand, the look, the feel and style of your corporate image and so on. And that's really important to deliver confidence and assurance. We want your members to be able to get information quickly, update personal information and details quickly as well. Security wraps around all of this. So if the individual logging in happens to be a rep or a branch official, for example, iMIS will know that, and it will be able to say, aha, this person is a rep or a branch official, and it will give them deeper access. It will enable them to do more things than just a regular member. And again, that's more efficient for you because the more people can self-service, the better it's going to be for you. Final item before we finish up is integrations. Everything I've been talking about is standard. It's a standard product, standard in the system. That heavy lifting has been done for you. And we're only in a position to show you that and to talk about that because it's been done across the majority of all unions in Australia. Not everybody's going to be in a position to say that to you this morning. And iMIS for Unions translates directly, geographically to all unions. All of that hard work, as I said, has been done for you already. However, that may not be enough for you. And iMIS for Unions has numerous options for integrations to whatever you require. If you can dream it, iMIS for Unions can integrate that because it's an open system. We've got a marketplace, our app store, where there are hundreds of add-on modules and bridges and so on. If you need to extend beyond that, you can use a technology called Zapier. So Zapier links with iMIS and in turn links with thousands of other apps and so on. And you can see some examples of the options in the marketplace as well, things such as HubSpot and SurveyMonkey, Higher Logic, and so on. If that's still not enough for you, there is an API, and the API can be used to connect into whatever other type of technology you wish.